Hello everyone, welcome to this release's masterclass. This release is packed with new features and hopefully we will cover them all. While we wait for more people to join, I'm also going to mention that in our last webinar, we didn't fully touch bases on the multi-user experience that we have deployed and implemented. So at the end of the webinar, we will also share a little bit of this feature and how this is going to look for you in platform. Okay. As always, if you have any question or if you want to ask something, you have the Q&A section at the end. I'm going to give a space for you to ask any questions that you may have, or if something pops up to your mind during the presentation, please feel free to go ahead and leave your question there. I will respond as soon as I see the question, or if I'm going to respond during the presentation, of course, I will respond then and there. Okay. Let's wait for one more minute. I'm going to start sharing my screen now, but I'm not going to begin for another minute. So let's just show you the platform. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, that's great. Thanks everybody that is joining. Okay, let's wait for a couple more seconds and then we can begin. Okay. To start with, I'm going to mention a little bit of the agenda of what we're going to be seeing today, what the new features that we have implemented are. As always, please keep in mind that most features are going to be rolled out to everybody, but some of the features are going to be rolled out progressively. If you do not see any of these features on your platform after the webinar, please reach out to your corresponding CSM so you can request the early activation. Okay. But as of now, what we're going to be covering today in the webinar is going to be first some improvements in the qualitative assessment that has to do with our risk factor calculations. We have some very exciting updates when it comes to the forecast section regarding our sales buildup, how to upload documentation, and some improvements in how the AI is now processing those documentations. We have some additional information that is being shown now in the peers level with some additional settings that have been implemented as well. We have an update for the WACC, or the cost of capital calculation as well, and for the venture capital method. We can now have some major updates in the valuation overview screen as well, and we have a new word report that we want to show you. It's a revamped new, let's say, new structure of the word report that is going to be much more user friendly, and these of course come also with improvements in the placeholders that we use. I'm going to get a little bit ahead of myself, but one of the features that has been requested many times before is now available, and this is allowing you to split your tables, your forecasts into historicals and forecast years, or in sets of 3 years or 5 years, however you like. You have all the flexibility now to split your tables in the different years that you prefer. This is financial and forecast tables, by the way. Okay. So without any further ado, let's begin with the webinar. I don't think there are any questions to begin with, so let's just jump right to it. I'm going to start with one sample valuation that I have here using DPR Construction, a private company in the US. Again, this is just a sample valuation. This should not be happening, so don't worry about it. I'm just going to refresh my page. This is a little bit of me having this open for a while. And as soon as this loads, I'm going to jump to the qualitative assessment section, where we're going to start to show some of the updates that we have implemented. And the first one is going to be at the bottom. If you can see on the far left, you have the risk factor that, as always, this goes from 1 to 5. The main purpose, remember, of the qualitative assessment is to do a subjective analysis of risk with the goal to find a company-specific risk premium for a cost of capital calculation and the discount for the public peers that we will select for the multiples of those public peers. Now, historically, the upper limit or the maximum premium and discount that you could get was 10 and 60%. But now we have given you the flexibility to set this to a higher or lower limit. This comes because sometimes some of our users are valuing very small companies for startups that may result in bigger premiums or bigger discounts required for basically these two purposes. So in this case, what we have made use the availability to change and edit the upper limits, okay? And we have also expanded the information and the logics behind the formulas that you can see here. Okay, so if now you want to have a little bit more detail, you can take a look at this eye. You will have a little bit more explanation on the formula, and you can set the upper limit. Let's say we're valuing a startup. Uh, Again, you can always redistribute the weight of each factor. I'm going to change company size because by default this is the one with higher weight. But let's say we're valuing a startup that is very small. In this case, and I think that the maximum possible premium is going to be 20%, and my maximum possible discount is going to be 75%. So as soon as I make that change, this company-specific risk premium rises immediately to 13.5. And when I change my discount from 60 to 75, the 40.5% will of course change as well to 50.6. You can always go back to the base and let's say 10%, and this will be updated again automatically to the 6.8, and same with the discount. If we go to 60, this will be updated automatically. Okay, you can change this in all of your evaluations. You can make this update, and this basically will give you a bigger or smaller discount and premium depending on your requirements for your specific valuation projects. When it comes to the qualitative assessment, that's the main update that we have applied. I'm just going to leave this in the middle so my results at the end are not that distorted. But again, what we're going to see in the forecast section, I'm going to use an example model that may have some not fully accurate data. So if you see some weird valuation results at the end, is because of that, just mock-up data. Now let's go there. Let's go to the forecast section. And the first thing that you're going to notice here is going to be within the net sales line. You now see a plus sign on the right-hand side of the net sales wording. And that means that you now can distribute your sales in different child items. So if you have different benefit streams, now you can add your different benefit streams into Valutico divided on your different possible products or lines of product as well. In this case, by default, we always start with net sales overall, but you can add new line items and basically mention that this is going to be product A. And if you check that, you're going to see that product A is going to be added. And you can keep adding more line items like product B. And of course, each of the product lines is going to have its own independent growths or growth rates. By default, we're going to use the benchmarking data in both. But let's say I'm going to start in this with 50,000 in sales, and I want this to grow at 2% annually, constantly. Let's just use the keep constant feature. Now you can see that everything is adjusted automatically. Okay, this can be done as many times as you want. Again, operating expenses already had that feature, but now you can do this with sales. This has also been a feature that has been requested a lot. And alongside this feature, what we have done is we have improved the way that you can now bring information or data into the platform. As you know from our previous releases, now you have the ability to extract data using AI from both PDF files and Excel files. But now we have unified these capabilities in just one process. So if you go to more, you can just upload PDF or Excel with AI. You know how you don't have the simple option to upload Excel. Do not worry about it. If you do not want to use AI, you can still upload the old way with the export tab included. You just need to click the upload PDF or Excel button, and here you can actually upload any Excel or PDF file with financial information. AI will just start to be used when we do not detect the export tab within the Excel file. Otherwise, we will use AI to extract data. If we find the export tab, basically we'll use the same old process. I think we have one question. Please give me a second there. Alfredo, thanks for the question. As I just mentioned, operating expenses already has this capability. Okay, as you can see, we have this little plus button on the right of operating expenses, and here you can basically do exactly the same that I just showed. For example, if you want to add a cost of goods sold, you can basically do that. If you want to go ahead and add SG&A, you can just keep adding and adding more and more line items for the expenses as well. Keep in mind, we're checking an advanced plan right now. We also have the cost by function and cost by type plans that already have more granularity, but you are able to add as many lines of expenses as you want in this section. I think we have 2 more questions. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that, Alfredo. Let's continue then with the upload of data. As mentioned before, this is just now one unified screen, and something that has changed is now we have included the option to include child items directly with AI as well. So if you bring a document, I'm going to just bring an Excel file without the export tab to the platform. You can, of course, upload and process. And remember that you can add up to 5 files at the same time so the data can be extracted. Okay. One very small update that is very important as well is if I hit upload and process now, at the bottom right corner, you're going to see a notification that AI is working on your request. And as soon as this is done, this request is done, you're also going to see a new notification that lets you know that AI has finished processing your information. Okay. The tasks section here at the top right will refresh from time to time. Basically, this means that it's working and that it's basically extracting the data. But I already have one task processed, so the one that is ready is the one that I already have processed. I'm going to go ahead and open that. It's the same file that I just uploaded. If you want, guys, we can check the task 2 in a minute. But if I open that, you're going to see that now all the fields or all the accounts, oh, there we go. You can see now that AI has successfully processed our request. So we can take a look at that task now. Let's go there. Task 2, and this should be the same case. At the top left, you're going to see the currency and the scaling that we're using. This is going to be the scaling that is used on the valuation level. You also have the little eye that explains this. And you have the ability to include or not include child items in your model. As you can see, we have found net sales, operating expenses, depreciation and amortization. Okay, I don't know if I uploaded the same file as before, but just to show you, here we have a file that has the child items included. In net sales, we just have revenue. In operating expenses, we have cost of goods sold and SG&A. And basically, the model has already recognized the child items as well. Okay. If we accept and include the child items, you're going to see that all the cells that we just saw that are using AI are going to be purple color. Of course, net sales and operating expenses are not going to be colored, that are going to be fixed cells, non-editable, because now we have the child items there that, of course, come from the model, as you can see there. Okay. So that's a very, very nice feature that you can now use. The option to have child items for sales and that unified upload for Eva AI. Okay. When it comes to the forecast at the moment, those are the features that we have made, as well as some improvements in the look and feel of this section. Is now easier to navigate and it's a little bit faster than it was before. So if you run some tests, it's going to be much more friendly to work within this section. Okay. I don't see any questions, so I'm just going to move forward. If you just give me 1 second. We're going to go now to the peers section, where there has been a little upgrade as well when it comes to the data that we're going to be showing from each of the peers. Okay. As you know, we recently launched the LTM multiples. Okay, so basically now you can actually see the LTM multiple for sales, EBITDA, and price earnings. Okay. You can also customize your table here. So when you are checking your R suggestions, remember now it's a split screen. So if I show my suggestions, you're going to see split screen. Now you can say that you want to see suggestions in, let's say, full screen. This is a little bit easier. I prefer it this way. Okay. So let's turn those on. Now, every time you open your suggestions, you're going to see a full screen of suggestions. You can make your changes and adjustments, and you can close this and go back to your list. At least I prefer to do it that way. If you prefer the split screen, you can still use it. There's no problem. We just have given you the capability of having this selection. And when it comes to the financials of each of the peers, we have added also the LTM data. So if you go to financials, you're going to see all of the data of the peers, including the LTM numbers. Okay. Last release, we included 2 more historical years. Remember, we always had 1 historical and 2 forecasted years. We included 2 more historical years and the LTM data as well, so you can actually see the multiples and LTM underlay data. This is going to be available for all of your peers. And as always, if you hover over the numbers, you're going to see the full value of LTM sales, EBITDA, EBIT, and net income. And as well for 26 or 25, you can always see all of those data points in the platform. Okay. Again, as mentioned, this was a quick update that is very, very nice to have. We're also planning further updates when it comes to the statistic information that we have. So if you go all the way to the right, we have added some statistical data points, for example, the t-stat and r-squared. And I think we do have more data points if you go to settings. Let me check. Yes, you can also include the daily trading volume, the average of the last 3 months daily trading volume, the shares outstanding, and the standard error of the calculations for the beta. Again, you can move and reorganize this as you wish. That's always a nice feature. So if I apply, you're going to see that now I have the standard error as well. And something that is very, very nice to have is that you can now make the columns a little bit thicker if you want to review more data, or thinner if you wish to hide some data. You can also do that now. Also, if you keep scrolling to the right, besides the trading volume that I just mentioned and the shares outstanding, now we have added the benchmarking that was previously a separated tab to this section. So yeah, now you can actually see the different benchmarking sales growths, EBIT margins, and capex investments of the selected peers all in one table to do your corresponding analysis. We do have one question now. Alfredo has another question. So Alfredo, you're asking about specific models for specific industries like the banking industry. We do have within our knowledge base, let's call it a paper that we built on how to use Valutico to value these kinds of institutions. Basically, you just need to know what type of data to map directly into the income statement and balance sheet. If you go to our knowledge base, you're going to find that. If you want to go to knowledge base, you do not need to leave the platform. Remember, you just need to go to the main dashboard, help center, and just to the knowledge base. You're going to find all of those papers there. Again, if you require further explanation or information, please do not hesitate to contact our CSM team, or at the bottom left corner, you can go to the intercom chat and basically chat live 24/5 with our support. Okay. I think we have another question right now. Hugo. Ugo's asking where we're pulling the data of the peers. Ugo, remember, we're pulling all of our data from S&P Capital IQ. Okay, so all of the data from the peers is coming from Capital IQ directly into the platform. Okay, let's go back to the peers. I think there's no more questions up to this point, so let's move on then to the cost of capital upgrades or improvements that we have actually set up. And now I'm gonna revert back to the forecast for a second. Okay. Now, as you can see, I have created two scenarios in this valuation, basic plan and advanced plan. As you know, you can create as many scenarios as you want. Okay. But now we have made an improvement when it comes to the scenario analysis and valuation as well. If you go to the cost of capital screen, as always, you can calculate the WACC for your valuation. Remember that now you can use either the CAPM method or the build-up method. This is a little bit more used in the North American market, but you can make your choosing. And now you can choose the specific scenario for this specific discount rate. So let's say you want to evaluate one forecast with one WACC and the other forecast with another WACC. Now you can basically align and set different cost of capitals or discount rates to the different scenarios that you have set. So let's say for basic plan, I want to use build-up method, and for advanced plan, CAPM. You can also do that, basically just changing the scenario to the corresponding forecast scenario here. Okay. When it comes to the display or the UX upgrade, is not that big, but it has a huge impact when you want to do scenario analysis. Basically, now you can change all the underlying assumptions for your discount rates and forecast, and basically have two valuations side by side within the platform. Now, moving on, when it comes to the valuation overview screen, we have implemented some updates in this section that are very, very exciting. One of them is going to be starting with our venture capital method. This is a small but a great improvement. Before, the IRR from our venture capital method was a calculated value that was not able to be adjusted. So you're required to know the cash on cash multiple that you wanted in order to adjust the IRR by back solving it. But now we have made this great improvement that within the change parameters section, you can now manually adjust the expected investor IRR, and basically all the rest will be updated retrospectively. So you can either change the target money multiple, the time horizon, or the IRR, and all of them will affect the other, and all the calculations will be done automatically. This is a small upgrade, very important though, for all startup valuations and venture capital companies. However, the main upgrades that we have implemented in this screen are first the weights of the valuation methods. As you may have heard before, we had a very simple weighted average method and model to add weights to the different valuation methods. So a value of 1 to all of the discounting methods and a value of 0.5 to all the multiple methods. Now we have made these calculations a little bit more transparent to all users, and now you can, of course, adjust the weights of the different valuations as you please. As you can see on the right-hand side of each method, we have the assigned weight by default. So in this case, 7%, and in those cases, 4 and 3% respectively. Okay. Now, if you want to make changes to the different valuation methods, that's as always, valuation methods button at the top right, and basically you can turn on and off whichever you want. But if you want to change the weights, now you have the edit weights button right here at the top. So basically you can change the different weights of the different valuation methods. You can give any value between 0 and 100. Again, if you set the weights like we have done here, like 2 and 1, the platform will go ahead and add all up and weight them in 100% basis. But you can already do it and set 20%, 10%, and 50% manually if you wish. The only condition that we're going to have here, it's going to be that adds up maximum to 100%. So you can make changes to the weight however you wish. In this case, I'm just going to leave it as it is, but basically this is now totally transparent. You can adjust and change as you decide. On top of that, what we have added is now you have the possibility to add more valuation methods. I think we cover most available valuation methods out there, but in case you want to use a very specific valuation method, a country-specific valuation method, or a project-specific valuation method that is very hard to find, or that you already have your calculations but want to include within the platform, you can now manually add different valuation methods into Valutico. You're not going to have the same level of detail as the ones that are native. For example, you're not going to have all of the details on how the DCF is calculated, the sensitivity analysis, and the table of values, but you can include the calculations and the valuation ranges as well here in your model. Let's say we want to add an entity approach. Let's go to valuation methods. You're now going to see a plus next to each of the type of valuation methods. So let's go with an entity approach. Let's call it redefined DCF. Okay. You can add a subtitle if you want. That subtitle is going to be like the one in the bottom. Let's go with the same wording, 1% perpetual growth, and let's say 8% to 9% WACC. Okay. Now you can set the min, mid, and max values of these valuation methods, so of your results. In this case, let's say we had 5 million, and the max range is going to be 6 million and 4 million. You can upload your calculations. It can be a PDF file or a Excel file where you can actually explain how the calculations of this method are done. Again, this is not mandatory, but you can, of course, add it if you want to. And if you click Save, it's going to take a couple of seconds. It's going to say that the valuation has been added successfully. It's going to take a couple of seconds to load, but you should see your new valuation method shown on screen. As you can see here, we have the redefined DCF, we have the valuation range, and an automatic weight is assigned to this method. Of course, if you want to adjust that weight, you can just change it. In this case, it's 1. Let's set it to 2. Let's save. Please always remember to save. And basically, that's it. Everything is reset, and the redefined DCF has a bigger impact on the overall valuation range. I think we have a question there from George. So again, the qualitative assessment. The qualitative assessment is very, very useful for SMEs. Okay, that the main idea and goal of the qualitative assessment is basically that it will allow you to compare smaller companies to multiples of bigger public companies. So the discount that is derived from the qualitative assessment is very relevant and very necessary for SMEs. Okay, when it comes to the premium, I like to consider the company-specific risk premium that comes from the qualitative assessment as an extension of this risk for the company. Okay, this will reflect on the discount rate that we will apply, the specific risk for this specific tiny private company. So again, it's very relevant for SMEs. I would recommend to use the QA for small and medium companies. If you are valuing a very big, almost public company, you could omit the qualitative assessment, but the smaller the company, the most recommendable is that you do the qualitative assessment. Now, the second question of George is in the transaction comparables and the multiples valuation methods, how is the rate multiple estimated for the years to come? As mentioned a couple of minutes ago, we get our data from Capital IQ. So basically what we do for the forward-looking multiples is we use Capital IQ's analyst consensus estimates. So basically we take that data directly from Capital IQ into that platform. And C, is it possible now to weight each valuation method chosen with the weight you choose? Exactly. That is what I just mentioned. Well, you're going to see all the weights on the right, but as I just showed a minute ago, you can change. So if you go ahead and let's say I want the DCF to be much more weighted than all the other methods, I can just edit weight, and I do not need to put the specific weight, but let's say I'm going to just put a 5 there. 8. Okay. And this is going to show that this valuation method now has a 14% impact in the overall result of that. Okay. Instead of 7 now we have 6. Okay, so but basically this is easily updatable now, and this can be updated as you wish. I hope I responded all your questions, George. And once again, I want to apologize for the technical difficulties. I don't see any more open questions at the moment, so I'm going to continue now. And again, if you guys have more questions, please feel free. Yes, sorry, George. There is a mathematical reasoning. You can find it a little bit more in detail within either the premium or the discount. Within this little I, you have our explanation. And again, within your knowledge base, we have a further longer description on how we get to these base values. And basically, if you want to review that, I will also invite you to go to our knowledge base and check that. Eduardo has a question as well. So Eduardo is asking if there's a new custom template for uploading a new evaluation method or just an Excel or PDF file. Again, as I just showed, the new manual valuation methods, you're going to set the results manually. So you set the midpoint, the max, and the minimum range as well manually. I'm going to go ahead and show an example again. And basically, the supporting documentation that you need to add can be either a PDF or an Excel file. Again, that is just for you to know that it's there, but what we're going to show in platform is going to be the min range, the max range, and the midpoint. Peter, as mentioned at the beginning of the session, these features are rolled out progressively to all of our users. If you do not see this feature yet on your platform, please reach out to your corresponding CSM and request for it so we can activate it as soon as possible on your account. I have a question from Vishal. Now, when we are working on WAC through build-up method, it is possible to put negative values. I think that there are some fields that can be set as negative values, like the credit spread. For example, if you have a very, very high risk-free rate and your interest rate is smaller than the risk-free rate, you could add a negative spread. But I don't know if you're meaning to that specific input or if there's any specific input from the build-up method that you want to set up a negative value. It would be great to know, Vishal. Let me know. I can test directly on the platform. Okay. But while we wait to that follow-up, let's continue right now. There's a couple of other upgrades that I'm going to mention before we go to the new word report. These upgrades I cannot physically show in the platform, okay, because these are running on the back end. but they have to do with three main points. First, at the beginning of the valuation process, when we are creating a valuation, when it comes to the data extraction of the company, so the company description, the industry, currency, location, maturity, and keywords, with the peer recommendation and transaction recommendations. For the first two, that's the company description at the beginning and peers, we have implemented AI A/B testing. So now artificial intelligence is recommending peers, learning from your changes, and is basically improving with different prompts that we're implementing. Right now, we have two prompts and a new fallback in case we do not get information from AI. So now your peer results should be much more aligned to your specific needs. When it comes to transactions, we have also set some parameters there, so the recommendations are going to be better. And now we're working in further improvements to start to incorporate more AI prompting and A/B testing in the transaction section. So for following release in April, transactions are going to be revamped. The recommendation engine in transactions is also going to be revamped with AI, and it's going to give much more aligned recommendations to your valuations. So now, please, I'm going to invite you to test the platform as much as you want. As mentioned, the company description at the beginning and peers should be much more aligned, as well as transactions. If there's something in transactions that is not still not a good match or not a good recommendation, please, I will urge you to remove those recommendations as soon as possible, because that will help the platform to learn and to give you better recommendations in the future. Okay. I think we have another question. Yep, Vishal says thank you. So I'm thinking that is complete. So let's now go to the export section so I can show you the new word report. Okay. At the moment, right now, the new word report, the modern landscape report, is just available in English. Okay. We're working on changing that and make it available in all other languages. But we're going to go ahead and download that one to show you how this new report looks like. Okay. While these processes, just to mention, and as I said at the beginning, now the placeholders that we have are much more dynamic and will give you the ability to also split your financial statements into historical, forecast, or let's say in different tables of 3-year sets. That depends on you. If you come here, you now can see that we have more detail and manual placeholders. Again, they are pretty self-explanatory. The description will give you the specific details or of what needs to be changed in case you want to set a certain range of values. But again, we have now more and more placeholders that are becoming more and more dynamic as we make upgrades into the platform. The idea is that this new word report is also improved with AI in our upcoming releases. I cannot say if in April or in June, but the idea is that all of this is enhanced every time more and more. Okay, we have one more question, and before I show you the report, let's respond it. Okay, Lauren, yes, that is within the forecast section. Lauren is asking that he's not seeing the consideration of injection of additional financing by shareholders. So if you go to the forecast section, okay, within the cash flow statement, this is for advancement, cost by function, and cost by type, you're going to see a line that is called equity raising or buyback. This is directly related to new equity injections or equity buybacks that any shareholder can do. You can manually or within your models upload the data into the platform. And of course, this will basically align with what you asked, Lauren. Okay. Now I'm going to download the report and reshare my screen in a minute. So please give me a second to show you our new word report. Okay. The idea of the report was to reduce the amount of manual work that you were required to do. Now, there are very small sections that are manual or that require manual inputs. And of course, these are also going to be upgraded with AI in the future. So this is also not a requirement anymore. Okay. I'm waiting for the Word document to open. And as soon as it opens, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. And it's open now. Please take a look at the new Valutico word report. Like right now, you can see that this looks a little bit familiar because it's first in landscape mode, and now it looks much more similar to our PowerPoint report. Now, keep in mind again that everything is still Office native, so you can still make the changes that you want and you wish. But now the report is a little bit more user-friendly. That we now have, when it comes to the report, I started sharing that we now have a full index and we have some static text that basically is going to accompany and show some valuation key concepts that you can see here. For example, introduction, some key valuation concepts like fair market value, premise of value, going concern, intrinsic value. We have the company information section, okay, the company description. This is being already pulled from the AI at the beginning of the evaluation process. And here's where we have some of the manual inputs when it comes to the company history, last year capital structure, and company management team or organizational chart. These are manual inputs in this report. We then have the qualitative assessment. Also, our tables have been updated. They have a little bit better design now in Word as well. We have some economic conditions section. Again, here we require manual inputs for the industry overview and country's economic analysis. Basically, now we have the financial statements of the company, and all of the statements come directly from the platform. As mentioned before, now we can split and cut the tables. In this case, we just have some historicals and one forecasted year, but you can split the tables in historicals and then forecasted numbers as well. So you can see we have our historicals and our forecasts here. We have our industry benchmarking graphics printed as well in the report. So overall, now the report is much more better looking. It's easier to work. The tables are or have a much better format. So now the Word report is much better than it used to be. You can of course use the old version as well, but this should also be available now in your platform. Meredith's got a question. Yes, Meredith, we always post our master classes in our knowledge base. There's a section there called master classes, and you can see all the recording of the previous ones. And of course, once this is processed, you will see the recording of this master class as well. Okay. The last thing that I want to show you today is the multi-user feature. So now when you go to manage valuations, to the folder manage valuations, you are going to find a new share valuation button here. Okay, and here you can share the valuations within your own organization. This share button is not going to allow you to share the valuation with anybody as we did before, just to people within your organization. That means that have your same domain. So your email has the same at etc.com, like in our case at valutico.com. Basically, what you can do is share a valuation. Oh, sorry. First, I need to select one valuation. Okay. I can share a valuation with anybody from my team. Okay. You can give access to your team as editors, viewers, or of course, no access. And when you do, basically, they're going to be able to see those valuations within the valuations shared with me section. Okay. Now, I have an editor permission, so I can change and manipulate this valuation. But the first time that I get here, that's not going to be the case. Okay? As I mentioned before, I already have the permits and the access. But the first time you land here, after somebody has shared a valuation with you, you will see right next to the word forecast, view only mode, and a button to take control. Basically, if you hit take control, you're going to become the active editor of this valuation. What does that mean? That the other person or previous editor will not be able to edit the valuation as you're acting as the active editor. So basically, right now, both persons can see the live changes on the valuation, but just one can be the active and live editor of the specific valuation. Why? We have done this to prevent double changes in the same parameter. Let's say we're both working within the forecast section and we both want to change the net sales growth rate at the same time. In order to avoid any misunderstanding or clash, we have made this prevention. But of course, in the future, we're going to work so this is more live work together experience. But at the moment, this is how it's going to be working. We do have some questions live. Jürgen is asking if we have a German version of the new Word report. At the moment, this is only available in English. Now, we're working to make the translation to all the other languages that we have in the platform, like German, Spanish, Netherlands, Portuguese, Italian, and all the other languages that we have available. This should be pushed into the platform shortly, but at the moment, it's just available in English. Okay. I know it has been a very, very rough presentation. We had a lot of technical difficulties, so I apologize for that. Uh, we have come to an end of the presentation on my side, but I wanted to know if you had any additional questions. Please, the floor is open. You can leave them in the QA section, and I will more than happily respond to them. I'm going to leave the floor open for a couple of minutes. In case there are no questions in 2 more minutes, we are going to call it a day. Thank you, everybody, for joining and participating and for bearing with us and the technical difficulties. And you're welcome, George. If anybody has any question, please feel free to shoot. And remember that you will get a copy of the recording by email. You can also check the recording in your knowledge base under master classes. We do have a question. Yes, Meredith, I just mentioned that one. The recording will be sent to your email, and you can also access that through our knowledge base. Again, if you can want to see any of the previous recordings, you're going to see all of them within the master classes section. There's no problem there. Again, just for last time, if you don't see any or some of the features that I mentioned here today, please reach out to your corresponding CSM. Remember, these are rolled out progressively, so if you want early access, it will be on you to request it. Alfredo is asking a question. Is there a template for Latin America instead of Spain? Okay, this is because of the usage of points and commas for numbers. Okay, there's no difference right now between Latin American and Spanish Spain. In Spanish from Spain, Spanish is just set as a general setting. I am Peruvian. I have helped with the translation, so we've tried to make it the more Spanish neutral that we could. The commas and dots separation, that is in a different level. Right now, we're updating those settings so you can choose your treatment of commas and dots. Hopefully, we will have that ready for the April release or the June release at the latest. But that is a setting that we are implementing into the platform, so don't worry about that. Okay. Any additional question? We're going to wait for 1 more minute and see if there's any other question. No problem, Meredith. Thank you for the words. Take care as well. Okay. Let's wait. Okay, it's 4 p.m. I think there are no additional questions. If you do have any questions or if you do have anything to ask, please reach out to us through Intercom or to your corresponding CSM, and we will more than happily help you out. Or if you want to join it or into a session with your CSM for them to explain further a feature, please feel free to reach out and schedule it with them. As always, thank you for the time. Once again, and for the last time, I apologize for the technical difficulties. Have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. And thank you for your attention. Bye-bye, and until the next one.